Joseph's story begins with a robe. Not just any robe, a long, colourful coat his father Jacob had made just for him. To Joseph, it was a gift of love. To his brothers, it was a reminder that Joseph was the favourite, and favouritism is a dangerous seed in any family. Joseph didn't make things easier. He told his brothers about dreams he'd had, dreams where they bowed down to him. Maybe he thought they'd be amazed. Instead, it burned their resentment into something darker. One day, Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers while they were grazing the flocks far from home. They saw him coming from a distance, his robe bright in the sun, and they started talking, not about work, but about getting rid of him. When Joseph arrived, they ripped off his robe, threw him into a dry pit, and while he begged for mercy, they sold him to passing traders headed for Egypt. They dipped his robe in goat's blood and took it to their father. Jacob thought Joseph was dead, and Joseph, he was gone. A favorite son now a slave in a foreign... In Egypt, Joseph was bought by a man named Potiphar, captain of Pharaoh's guard. Joseph worked hard and everything he touched seemed to succeed. Potiphar noticed. Soon Joseph was in charge of the whole household. But trouble came again. Potiphar's wife tried to seduce him. Joseph refused, out of loyalty to Potiphar and to God. She didn't take rejection well. She accused Joseph of the very thing he had resisted. Potiphar believed her, and Joseph was thrown into prison. Prison is the kind of place that can crush a man's spirit. But Joseph didn't give up. He worked. He helped. He listened. One day, two of Pharaoh's officials, the cupbearer and the baker, were thrown into the same prison. Both had strange dreams. They couldn't understand them. Joseph told them, "Interpretations belong to God. Tell me your dreams." With God's help, he explained the cupbearer would be restored to his position, the baker would be executed. And it happened exactly that way. Joseph asked the cupbearer to remember him, to mention him. But when the cupbearer got his freedom, he forgot Joseph completely. 2 years passed. Then, Pharaoh himself had two troubling dreams. In one, 7 fat cows were eaten by 7 thin cows. In the other, 7 healthy heads of grain were swallowed by 7 thin, scorched ones. None of his magicians or wise men could explain them. That's when the cupbearer remembered Joseph. Joseph was rushed out of prison, shaved, dressed in clean clothes, and brought before Pharaoh. Pharaoh told him the dreams. Joseph said, "I can't do this, but God will give Pharaoh the answer." And with God's help, Joseph revealed the meaning. 7 years of abundance were coming, followed by 7 years of severe famine. He advised Pharaoh store up grain during the good years so Egypt would survive the bad. Pharaoh saw wisdom in her, and in a single moment Joseph went from prisoner to second in command over all Egypt. For 7 years Joseph oversaw the gathering of grain. Barns were filled beyond measure. Then the famine came. It reached beyond Egypt, all the way to Joseph's homeland. Jacob sent his sons to Egypt to buy food. They bowed before the governor, not knowing it was their brother. Joseph recognized them instantly, but instead of revealing himself, he tested them. Were they the same men who had sold him? Did they still have hatred in their hearts? The brothers returned with Joseph's youngest brother, Benjamin. Joseph could barely contain his emotions. Finally, after seeing their humility and care for one another, Joseph could hold back no longer. He sent everyone else out of the room and he wept so loudly the Egyptians heard him. Then he said, "I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?" His brothers were stunned into silence, terrified. But Joseph told them, "Don't be afraid. You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, to save many lives." Joseph brought his whole family to Egypt. He reunited with his father. And in time, the famine... Looking back, Joseph saw the thread through it all. Betrayal, slavery, prison power, and reunion. It was never just random events. God had been weaving it together for a purpose, not just for him, but for a whole nation. Joseph's story reminds us that even when the road is dark, even when people fail you, there can be a bigger plan at work. Sometimes the very things meant to break us are the things that prepare us for the place we're meant to stand.